Hey everybody, what's going on? Ryan the Mighty Quinn here, the cornerman underscore MMA. Crazy 24, 30 hours of the UFC, probably the biggest non-fight day in the history of the sport. A lot of announcements. Uh, Usman is now replacing Paulo Costa to fight Chimaev. We will talk about that next week. USADA gone. We're going to talk about that this weekend. I'm going to put the video on that as of January 2024. They are no longer going to be connected with the UFC. But right now, we're going to talk about the rematch of one of the greatest title fights in UFC history between Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev. Yeah. I was saying before on Betting Bananas, I think that I wasn't in the mood for a 4-month buildup on this rematch. I love the way this is happening. I love that Alex is stepping in. That really sucks for Mateusz Gamrot. He got pushed over, but this is the marketable fight. Now, I was watching that fight for a third time last night, and just so much good. It was such a great fight. There was so much to it, so much for us fight nerds to really analyze and break down. And just the adjustments made in fight time were fantastic by Volkanovski. I can't wait to see what's going to come coming forward. But being it was such a close fight, it's not only the loser. Usually, you think the loser needs to make adjustments, and that's not necessarily true all the time either. But in this case, both guys need to step their game up to win this fight again, or to win this fight for the first time in the rematch. Let's start with Volkanovski. First of all, his fight IQ is the best in the game right now. I truly believe that. He was doing things like the on the fly adjustments. Like one of the big things he was doing, he was slipping he was slipping Islam's right hook really well. The first time he slipped it, he came back and you saw he realized that, I could do more after this. So after that, he would slip and land the body hooks, the body punch, the head punches, just the counter striking off the slip and rolls. Awesome. Now, I think that in that situation, instead of throwing a 1 or a 2 punch, he needs to throw like 2, 3, 4. I think he needs a little more activity in those situations in order to win the fight, in order to win those situations. Starting with, and he did a little bit better on it later on in the fight, so I expect to see this more early on, like round 1 and 2. In rounds 1 and 2, when he was feinting, he was doing a decent feint. He was kind of giving Islam something to think about, but he wasn't pushing any forward progress. And as the shorter, less rangier fighter, you got to take advantage of that. I think that what he needs to do there is he needs to step in with those feints and really close distance, or he needs to create an angle. Something, he did a very good job of controlling the center of the cage, but sometimes, especially against a fighter who's going to lay back, which Islam Makhachev traditionally does, kind of waits for his openings, you got to be able to cut the cage off. And those feints can help you do that with lateral movement. And then try to set up your striking. I think that's going to be key in this fight. It's going to add a little more activity for him as far as volume and punches and entries to takedowns. That's another thing in those scrambles. If you're getting caught up in those scrambles, you're not scoring, which he's very good with. You're going to be able to shoot underneath stuff. Now, also on top there, Islam's very strong. We all know this. But Volk could use his vertical challengeness to his advantage with the hand fighting. What do I mean by hand fighting? I mean clinching, I mean pummeling, and then working off of that, throwing some dirty boxing elbows, dirty boxing uppercuts. Actually, let me take that back. He does very good, the dirty boxing uppercuts, but they're not landing really well. And that's the case, especially against the cage. If you land that, you got Islam extended a little bit, bam, drop down to a leg attack, to using your wrestling. And I think that he would win there. So more activity after the feint and more activity within the clinch work, specifically against the cage, is going to win him those situations that he might have lost prior, 8 months ago. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people think that Volk won this fight. I felt it was a tough fight to score. So we don't need to make any major differences, just maybe 3 or 4 situations, scoring scenarios, as the judges like to call it. That's where he needs to win those, and then the cards turn the other way. Now, as far as for Islam, Islam's got to take away, he's got to keep that short fighter away, make him be short. And I think that if he adds a little more activity to his straight punches, both 2-1s and 1-2s, keep the shorter fighter at your range where you want to strike, where you want to go for takedown penetration, where you want to shoot those underhooks. That is going to be his key to success. Chew up a little clock, both against the extension in the cage when you're getting the underhooks and the clinch, but as well as chew up the clock on your feet. Make Volk second guess himself coming in with a little more activity with the straight punches. As I said prior, Volk was figuring out shooting underneath the right hooks, the looping punches, and shoot, countering off. I don't want to just say shoot. So keep him away with those straight punches. And on top of that, not just straight punches, move your head with those punches. So Volk doesn't start timing it to try to throw counter punches underneath or even to shoot underneath. When you move your head with your punches, it kind of gives you a little bit of a takedown defense because it lowers your level a little bit. And it might help in that scenario to go against a counter wrestling maneuver or to go against counter striking to keep your head offline. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fight. Looking forward to seeing the adjustments. It really, go back and watch the fight, and you could see Volk's adjustments on the fly were just fantastic, if you know what I'm talking about. And Islam's so strong. On the ground, I think Volk had the right idea. Don't hang out on the ground too long. He was doing great wrestling stand-ups, getting away. And just with Islam, he did a great job too, doing the best he can to control. I think that the winning situations in this fight, even though both are very well on the ground, I think it's going to be in the stand-up and the clinch work and who's going to win those situations. Anyway, that's what I got, guys. Can't wait. Again, tune in on Saturday. Or Sunday rather. I'm going to post a video on how I feel about getting rid of USADA. I have strong emotions about that in both directions. And then next week, we're going to do a video breaking down Usman and Chimaev. And I also have a couple of interviews coming up. Can't wait to share with you. Talk to you.